Focus on what you control. A powerful Stoic story about mastering your life. There was once a young man named Daniel. Like many people, Daniel had big dreams. He wanted success. He wanted peace. He wanted freedom. He wanted a life he could be proud of. But every day felt like a battle. Not a battle against enemies. Not a battle against circumstances. A battle against frustration. Daniel spent most of his time worrying. He worried about the economy. He worried about other people's opinions. He worried about the future. He worried about things that had not even happened yet. Every morning he woke up with anxiety. Every night he went to bed exhausted. The strange thing was that nothing terrible was happening. Yet his mind never rested. His thoughts constantly raced from one problem to another. One afternoon, after a particularly stressful day, Daniel sat alone beside a river. The water moved calmly. The wind carried leaves across the surface. Everything around him seemed peaceful. Everything except his mind. As he sat there, an elderly man approached and sat nearby. The man looked calm. Not the calm that comes from an easy life. The calm that comes from wisdom. For several minutes neither spoke. Then the old man asked, "What troubles you?" Daniel laughed. "Everything." The old man smiled. "Everything?" Daniel nodded. "The economy. My future. My job. What people think about me. The mistakes I've made. The things that might happen." The old man listened carefully. Then he picked up a small stick and drew 2 circles in the dirt. "What do you see?" Daniel frowned. "2 circles." The old man pointed to the first circle. "Inside this circle are the things you can control." Then he pointed to the second. "Inside this circle are the things you cannot control." Daniel remained silent. The old man continued. "Most people spend their lives focusing on the second circle. And because of that, they lose control of the first." Those words struck Daniel deeply. The old man stood up. Before leaving, he said something that would change Daniel's life forever. "Focus on what you control." Then he walked away. Daniel sat beside the river long after the old man disappeared. For the first time, he began thinking differently. How much of his energy was wasted? How much time had he spent worrying about things beyond his control? The answer was painful. Almost all of it. That evening he returned home and wrote 4 words on a piece of paper. "Focus on what you control." He placed it above his desk. The next morning, the first test arrived. Traffic was terrible. Cars barely moved. Drivers became angry. People shouted. Frustration filled the streets. Normally Daniel would have become irritated. Normally he would have complained. But this time he asked himself a question. Can I control traffic? The answer was no. So instead of becoming angry, he listened to an audiobook. The situation remained the same. But his experience changed completely. That small moment taught him something important. Peace begins when you stop fighting battles you cannot win. Days later, another challenge appeared. At work, a coworker criticized him unfairly. The comments felt personal. Daniel immediately felt anger rising. His heart raced. His mind prepared arguments. He wanted to respond. He wanted revenge. Then he remembered the 2 circles. Can I control what another person says? No. Can I control my response? Yes. For the first time, he remained calm. He listened. He learned. He moved forward. The criticism lost its power. Not because it disappeared. Because he stopped giving it control over his emotions. Weeks turned into months. Slowly, Daniel's life began changing. Not because circumstances improved. Because his focus improved. He stopped wasting energy on things outside his control. He invested his energy where it mattered. His habits improved. His discipline increased. His confidence grew. His peace deepened. Then life delivered a serious test. The company where he worked announced major layoffs. Fear spread quickly. Rumors filled the office. Employees panicked. Everyone worried about losing their jobs. Daniel felt fear too. But he remembered the lesson. Can I control the company's decision? No. Can I control my preparation? Yes. Instead of worrying, he acted. He updated his skills. He improved his resume. He studied every evening. He prepared for every possibility. Several months later, layoffs happened. Daniel lost his position. Many people collapsed emotionally. Many became bitter. Many surrendered to hopelessness. Daniel felt disappointed. But he remained calm. Because he had spent months preparing instead of worrying. A few weeks later, a better opportunity appeared. One he would never have discovered if he had remained trapped in fear. That experience taught him another powerful lesson. Worrying does not prepare you. Action prepares you. As the years passed, Daniel continued practicing Stoic principles. Every challenge became an opportunity to strengthen his character. Every setback became a lesson. Every obstacle became training. One winter evening, he faced another difficult situation. A close friend betrayed his trust. The pain was real. The disappointment was deep. For days, anger followed him. His mind replayed the betrayal repeatedly. Then he remembered the old man's circles. Can I control what happened? No. Can I control how I move forward? Yes. That realization freed him. Not immediately. Not perfectly. But gradually. He stopped carrying the burden of resentment. He focused on healing. He focused on growth. He focused on the future. And slowly, peace returned. Years later, Daniel became known for his calm presence. People often asked him how he remained composed during difficult situations. They assumed he possessed some special talent. He always gave the same answer. I focus on what I control. Some people nodded. Others dismissed the advice. It sounded too simple. But simplicity is often where wisdom lives. One afternoon, a young man approached Daniel. The young man looked overwhelmed. Anxious. Lost. Exactly as Daniel once had. How do I stop worrying? He asked. Daniel smiled. Then he drew 2 circles on a piece of paper. The same 2 circles the old man had drawn years earlier. Inside the first circle he wrote, my actions, my attitude, my effort, my discipline, my character. Inside the second circle he wrote, other people's opinions, the weather, the economy, the past, the future, the actions of others. Then he looked at the young man. Spend your energy in the first circle. The young man stared at the paper silently. Daniel continued. Most people live in the second circle. They worry. They complain. They blame. They fear. And because of that, they neglect the only things they can actually change. The lesson was simple, but powerful. As Daniel grew older, he often reflected on his life. The greatest transformation had not been financial. It had not been professional. It had not been external. It had been internal. Years earlier he was controlled by worry. Now he was guided by purpose. Years earlier he was controlled by fear. Now he was guided by action. Years earlier he was controlled by uncertainty. Now he was guided by wisdom. One evening, while watching the sun set beyond the horizon, Daniel finally understood the deeper meaning of Stoicism. Life will always contain uncertainty. People will disappoint you. Plans will fail. Storms will come. Loss will happen. Challenges will appear. You cannot control those things. But you can control your response. You can control your mindset. You can control your effort. You can control your actions. And that is enough. Because when you master what is within your control, you become stronger than whatever happens outside of it. That is where confidence comes from. That is where peace comes from. That is where freedom comes from. Not from controlling the world, but from controlling yourself. So if you are facing difficulties today, remember Daniel. Remember the 2 circles. Remember the old man's lesson. Stop wasting energy on what you cannot control. Stop surrendering your peace to circumstances. Stop allowing fear to dominate your future. Instead, focus on your actions. Focus on your effort. Focus on your discipline. Focus on your character. Focus on what you control. Because the moment you do, your life begins to change. And that simple shift can become the beginning of an extraordinary future. If you'd like a continuation, I can write part 2, 4,000 to 5,000 words, where Daniel faces betrayal, failure, loss, and his greatest Stoic test yet.